scored the winner in the World Cup final for Spain against Argentina. And that has a domino effect because, of course, as we've said many times, if PSG add Ferran Torres, they've already got Magnus Akliouche from Monaco for 50 million euros, and they're in talks for Mika Götze at Ajax. And suddenly that is multiple versatile attackers coming into PSG, and it might open the door for Liverpool in particular to drive down that number for Bradley Barcola, who only has 2 years left on his contract. Now, Paris Saint-Germain's asking price has been 170 million euros. Liverpool's starting point in talks so far has been 100 million euros. That seems like a big gulf in valuation. And yet, if PSG come down to closer to Elliot Anderson, Morgan Rogers territory, which is just under £120 million, then Liverpool may be prepared to increase their offer. And as a consequence, this gulf in valuation could disappear relatively quickly. PSG have been coy so far as well, because maybe another suitor comes. Arsenal, for example, are looking for a player over on that left-hand side. They've not made any pitch or bid as of now. Liverpool feel Barcola wants to join them. But like Mateus Fernandes, Spurs versus Manchester United, that was a highest bidder wins because the player just wanted to leave regardless. So Barcola's going to be a fascinating situation that, as I've said many times, Liverpool are intentionally trying to take control of by waiting this out. And as we get more movement in the market, they may be better positioned to finally place this bid for Bradley Barcola. And as we've revealed on TalkSport before, the expectation is more than one attacker comes into Liverpool between now and the end of the window. Yes, there's appreciation for Ibrahim Mbaye, also at PSG. Bayer Leverkusen have been in advanced talks there. Other German and Italian clubs are taking a look too. So we'll have to understand what the price is going to be there. We've heard some suggestions it might be as low as 40 million euros. That's denied by PSG sources. And my expectation is that to get and buy a higher price might be necessary. Then we have to think about Liverpool outgoings as well. As I revealed yesterday, Inter are going to be back, or that's the expectation anyway, for Curtis Jones. Through intermediaries, they have had 3 different approaches turned down, the highest of which was 35 million euros. Liverpool want a minimum of 40 million euros, and some sources say even as high as 50 million euros. But Curtis Jones and Inter is one to watch, even though at the opposite extreme, if he doesn't move this window, he's a very Andoni Iraola type player, and Liverpool then might look to extend his contract. Cody Gakpo and Tottenham could still develop as well. No point in negotiating with Liverpool now. They would need to add first and then consider an outgoing. But not for sale now doesn't necessarily mean not for sale at the end of the window if Liverpool are able to add. And Tottenham are going to be busy. Savinho, as we've reported many times before, and that is about Enzo Maresca.
It's out just this morning. He said Liverpool could add 2 wingers to the squad, especially if Cody Gakpo ends up joining Tottenham. Barcola deal remains on as talks are ongoing with PSG. LFC open to adding 1 more winger. Ibrahim Mbaye on the list, but currently too expensive. So we'll pull up a few more tweets and sort of dive into that before we start to dissect it. Florian Plettenberg has said Bradley Barcola is planned by Liverpool for the left wing. LFC remain in negotiations with Paris Saint-Germain to reach an agreement before deadline day. LFC are confident he had 0 minutes tonight against Aston Villa. Should Barcola join, 17-year-old super talent Rio Ngamoa is expected to be used predominantly on the right wing. So yeah, speaking about that position change that we spoke about often on the show, we might see Rio shift over to the right and Barcola go on the left. Eases a lot of concerns around Barcola, if that is to be true, because I know people's main concern is he's mainly a left winger, hasn't done too much work on the right. Looks like we might shift Rio over to the right-hand side, according to Florian Plettenberg. And we will pull up another tweet. This one is from Romano. This is a direct quote from Romano. Agreed to buy LFC transfer room. I assume this is from his YouTube channel. Liverpool believe Ibrahim Mbaye's price tag is too expensive after speaking with the player's agent, Jorge Mendes. So, yeah, maybe Mbaye might be off Liverpool. Another one who didn't play last night. I think his price tag's only somewhere between 35 and 50 as the negotiating fee. So a lot less than Barcola, but obviously a lot younger, a little bit more unproven, very raw, had a very good AFCON, and then broke his way into the Paris team, not playing too much, but a few appearances off the bench here and there, stuff like that. And then on to the final part. So summarising all of this is from Ben Jacobs via LFC Transfer Room. And last word on Spurs, Cody Gakpo is open to joining Tottenham. Liverpool are unlikely to negotiate with Spurs until they bring in 1 or 2 more attackers. This is one to watch for later in the window. Right, that's everything. So we've got through all the tweets. Now we can start to piece together this puzzle. So obviously how I'm viewing it is Liverpool need to bring a winger in. And from what Romano's telling us, it's going to be Barcola, and maybe we're not so keen on him by given his price tag and how young he is and stuff like that. Once Barcola is in, we could see Cody Gakpo leave Liverpool. That would help us recoup a bit more of the fee for Bradley Barcola, as we know we're going to pay a lot of money for him, in excess of €100 million. So we could bring some of that money back in with selling Gakpo. However, we might want to add a second winger. So who is that going to be? If it's not going to be Ibrahim Mbaye, let us know in the chat. Let us know your thoughts on everything, because this is really one that we all need to piece together as in a group. And try and work out a full picture of what is going on. Obviously, Florian Plettenberg saying that Rio and Gamoa going over to the right-hand side, making room for Barcola on the left, all makes a lot of sense to me. But I'll move to the chat now and pull up some of your comments. Okay, Brill. So SN Studio still thinks it'll be Barcola and Mbaye. To be honest, I'm not massively keen on Mbaye. I think he's a good player. I just think maybe Liverpool have got young options in Rio and Gamoa. I want to keep Lewis Kumas around. I know there's murmurs about him having a loan move away, but I just think his press is brilliant. I think he's lightning fast, and I think he's shown real potential on that side. So I'm thinking we've got Kumas, Munoz, still very young, Rio and Gamoa, and then we might possibly have Bradley Barcola. We've still got Federico Chiesa. I think Liverpool need another winger. I really do. I just don't know if that winger's Mbaye. I don't know if you bring in Barcola and then possibly bring in someone maybe even a little bit more experienced as well, because Barcola's also still very young. However, if you go a bit younger in the market and buy for potential, yes, you still pay a lot of money, but you also save a lot. It's not like 10 years ago where you can go and buy someone who's 18, 19 for 10 million quid and then sell them on for 50. You still got to pay quite a big fee, but it's not that top fee, that 100 million we're talking about with Barcola. We might be able to get him for somewhere in the region of 35 to 40 for 50 million euros. So yeah, that's what I think of that one. Chundercat says he still likes Minter. Can supply Isak. He won't get goals, but could feed others. Yeah, I mean, I've been quite surprised by how the wingers have worked so far under Areola. I thought they were going to be more like supply players, but I actually think they start wide, but they come quite narrow. Like, they want to get shots off. They want to test the keeper. I thought Kumas did good at putting the balls into the box and whipping them in, but he was getting really close to the penalty area before he put them in. I think the goal we scored, that's probably one of the only crosses in the game against AS Monaco where he's really far out wide, and I'm pretty sure that comes from a loose ball, and he puts it back in, that scramble in the box, and Florian Wirtz tucks it away. But he cut inside a lot and got really narrow and got the shots off. So whether Minter is the right profile for that, as you said there, he probably won't get loads of goals. He's probably not, but he would offer us something different. He'd offer us an alternative in terms of getting balls in the box for Isak. So I see your argument on that. I'm not massively over keen on Minter, but if you're looking at his supply data and getting the ball to Alexander Isak, he's probably one of the best data sets. I know they've looked at it on the deep dive. You can check them videos on Minter out. They'll be living on the Redmen YouTube channel somewhere. So yeah, I know the lads on the deep dive are quite...
Good evening. Anfield's recruitment plan for the summer window is starting to look less like a single deal and more like a full rebuild of the front line, and tonight, the shape of that plan is becoming clear. Liverpool aren't just chasing a winger. Sources close to the club's recruitment department describe the target as 2 wingers, brought in together, to reshape the width of this side for the next 3 seasons. Bradley Barcola sits at the top of that list, but he is not the only name on it. What makes this situation different from the usual speculation is the sequencing. This isn't a club identifying one player and hoping a second falls into place later. Liverpool's football operations staff have apparently mapped both signings as a single project, funded together, negotiated in parallel, and designed to solve the same tactical problem, a lack of directness and pace on both flanks. Tonight, we break down where the Barcola side of that plan actually stands, and who the second winger might be. Okay, let's go with the details on Barcola's situation. Liverpool have already made internal contact. not with PSG directly yet, more exploratory, understanding structure of possible deal. Player side, positive signals. Barcola's camp aware of Liverpool interest for weeks, this is not new information for them. Here's what's important. PSG position is not unsellable anymore. This changed in recent conversations internally at the club. Squad depth on the wings improved, financial planning also different this summer compared to 12 months ago. So door, it's open. Not, here we go, open, but open. Liverpool valuation internally sits in the region that would make this a major deal, top 5 most expensive in club history if completed. No official proposal yet, I'm told. But scouting reports finalized, medical staff have already reviewed his data. This is a serious file, not one of these speculative links you see on social media. Second name, this is where it gets interesting. Liverpool are also working a parallel move, different agent network, different country entirely. I will come back to this one shortly, because the French side of the story explains why Liverpool feel confident moving on both at once. Bonsoir, let me give you the view from Paris, because there are details here that change the picture. Inside PSG, Barcola's situation has become complicated in a way that has nothing to do with his ability. Coaching staff still rate him, but squad rotation plans for next season put him in direct competition with players the club has prioritized in a different tactical role, and Barcola's camp have communicated, privately, a preference for a squad where he is guaranteed the left flank without rotation. Financially, PSG's stance has been described to me by 2 separate sources inside the club as realistic rather than resistant. They will not give him away cheap. But there is no internal appetite to block a move that suits both parties if the fee reflects his market value. Now, the second winger. My understanding is Liverpool have also been in contact with a representative connected to a League One rival, tracking a player who has had an outstanding individual season and is seen by scouts as more of a like-for-like alternative to Barcola's profile, direct, left-footed, comfortable cutting inside. Liverpool's recruitment team see the two as complementary rather than competing signings, one to start, one to rotate and develop into a long-term starter. This is not confirmed as advanced as the Barcola file, but the interest is real, and it explains the 2 wingers framing that has been used internally at Liverpool this week.